Hi y'all, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome here if you are new. My name is Kirsti, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you two recipes that both include canned biscuit dough, and they're both considered bubble up bakes. Our first recipe is called a meatball sub bubble up bake. With this recipe, all you really need to have is some meatballs. I'm just going to be using these frozen meatballs, and they are still frozen. You can use homemade meatballs. Really, it's just whatever you have on hand or what you like best. I'm going to use 1 jar of marinara sauce. You can just use regular spaghetti sauce if that's what you like best. You're going to need 1 can of biscuits, and I'm just using the Great Value jumbo biscuits, and mozzarella cheese. Now, I am going to be adding in some mushrooms. You don't have to do that. The recipe did not call for that. But I have this in my pantry and we love these mushrooms, so I'm going to go ahead and add that in. Alright, but that's all you have to have, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and start out by getting our oven preheated to 375 degrees. With the biscuits, I just went ahead and took them out of the can, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut these up into 8s. So we're just going to cut it in half, and then cut all of these little pieces in half again. And I'm just going to repeat that with all 8 of these biscuits. After you get those chopped up, I'm just going to move those over to the side for a second. And I'm going to take this mixing bowl. Hang on, let me fix y'all a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to dump the biscuits in the bowl. Now we're going to take some of our marinara sauce. The recipe says to put in about 1.5 cups to 2 cups. I'm just going to go ahead and do the whole jar because there wasn't much left. That may be a mistake, but we'll see. I don't think so. I think it'll taste good either way. Alright, and then I'm just going to get a spoon, and you're just going to toss these biscuits in this sauce, and you're just going to want to get all those biscuits coated. Y'all, this recipe is so simple. Technically, you didn't have to get a bowl out to mix this. You could just do this in the pan. I didn't want to make a big mess, and so I just went ahead and got the bowl. But, I mean, you can technically make this a 1-pan dump and go recipe by just putting these in the pan. Alright, now that I got that stirred up, let me get the pan. I have a 9x13 pan. So we're going to take these biscuits with the marinara sauce, and we're just going to place it in here. I'm going to get out some of this extra sauce that's left behind. Okay, I'm just going to kind of evenly spread that out. Kind of dumped out pretty evenly, so that's awesome. And then we're going to take our meatballs, and remember, mine are frozen, and it said to just put in as many as you want to, so I don't know if I'm going to use the whole bag or not. We're just going to kind of sprinkle them on top. Yeah, I'm probably going to go ahead and add in the whole bag. I'm just going to go ahead and dump that in. And I was using a 2-pound bag of frozen meatballs. You know, something else that would be good with this is if you were to get like the Italian style meatballs. Ooh, that would be really good. Alright, I got those kind of even. And now if you're going to follow the recipe, sorry, if you're going to follow the recipe exactly, right here is where you're going to put the cheese on top. But we're going to be using mushrooms. So now is when I'm just going to take my can of mushrooms. I did drain these. And I'm just going to kind of sprinkle some along the top. I kind of feel like even though this is called a meatball sub, I kind of feel like I'm making a kind of like a pizza bake with meatballs. Okay, I'm just going to kind of spread those around so it's even, a little even. Sorry, that was copper. Alright, so then if you're going to follow my recipe and after you do the mushrooms, that's when you're going to add your cheese on top. I'm using mozzarella cheese. Technically, you can just use whatever cheese you want. I think adding some Parmesan would be really good to this. I might do that at the end, like after it's baked, maybe on our own individual plates. I'll add some Parmesan cheese on top. But we do like it cheesy, so I'm going to add quite a bit. Not too much, but I do want everything covered with the cheese. Have y'all ever made bubble up bakes before? I was just looking on Pinterest, and I don't even think I really typed anything in. I just was looking, and it was one of the suggestions, and it was this one that came up. I was like, wow, that sounds really good, and it looks super simple. And now that I'm making it, it is pretty simple. I think y'all will like it too. All right, now we're gonna get the foil. With the foil, I'm just gonna kind of loosely put this on. I don't want it to be too tight, just because there is cheese underneath it. I'm probably gonna kind of tint it up a little bit in the middle. Sorry if this is loud. Alright, so now that I have the foil on, we're gonna bake this in our preheated 375 degree oven for about 40 minutes. And then once the 40 minutes is over, we're gonna take this foil off and we're gonna put it back in the oven for about 10 minutes. But I'll show you what it looks like after 40. So this just came out of the oven for 40 minutes. I took the foil off and we're going to put it back in for about 10 more minutes. As you can see, this top part has not completely melted yet, so we're definitely going to want to make sure that gets melted before we take it back out. After having this in the oven for about 10 minutes, I did turn the broiler on just so it could get that cheese all nice and crispy on top. And that is what's for dinner tonight. Meatball sub bubble up bake. Our second recipe is a French onion chicken bubble up bake. Y'all, I am actually pretty excited about this dinner tonight. I have never actually had it, but I like every one of the ingredients that's going in it, so I think I'm gonna like it. All you need is some chicken. You're gonna need some French onion dip. This is just like that sour cream dip. You're gonna need 1 can of biscuits. I just got the Great Value jumbo biscuits. You need 1 can of cream of chicken condensed soup, a bag of French fried onions, and some cheddar cheese. If you want a quick little tip, this recipe is only going to take about 25 to 30 minutes once it's in the oven. Now, the recipe does call for the chicken to be cooked before we mix everything together and put it in the oven. So my tip is to use a rotisserie chicken if you want to make this a super quick and easy 30-minute meal. Now, I don't have a rotisserie chicken, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut my chicken up into small bite-sized pieces and just cook it in the skillet, but you use whatever you have. So in my large skillet here, I just went ahead and I did melt a little bit of butter in the bottom of this pan, and I got my chicken in here, and we're just gonna cook this until all the pink is gone and it is completely cooked through. And while I have the chicken cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and preheat my oven, and we just need to preheat it to 350 degrees. While I wait on the chicken to get done, I'm gonna go ahead and cut up these biscuits. And with the biscuits, what you're gonna do, let me move these out of the way, is you're just gonna take your biscuit and you're gonna cut it into 4s. So you're just gonna cut it in half and then half again, just like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that with all these biscuits. And then once we get these cut up and the chicken's done, we will get everything going together. Y'all, this dog is always right up under my feet when I'm cooking dinner. I think he thinks if he stays here long enough, I might drop something. My chicken is finished, so I'm going to go ahead and add it into this big old mixing bowl. Oops, sorry. Real life, y'all, real life. Okay. And now, to this chicken, I'm going to add in this whole can of cream of chicken soup. I'm going to use this small little spatula here just to go ahead and get every bit of it out of the can. Alright. Then we're going to take our French onion dip, and I'm going to use about half of this container. It calls for 1 cup, and this container is 18 ounces, so about half of that's going to be 1 cup. Alright, so we're going to start there. Then I'm going to take my cheddar cheese, and I'm going to add in a pretty good handful. Okay, then we're going to mix all that together. After you get all that mixed up, you're then going to take your biscuit dough and you're going to add it to the bowl, and then we're going to stir these all until all of the little biscuit pieces are well coated with the chicken mixture. Once you have that all mixed up, I'm going to bring my baking dish over here. Make sure y'all can see it. And then I'm just going to dump all of this into here. Now technically, you probably could have stirred this all in the baking dish. I just prefer to have a bigger bowl to mix it all with. That way I don't make as much of a mess. Okay. We're just going to kind of get that evenly throughout the whole dish. This smells really good, y'all. Alright. Now, the recipe don't say this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more cheese to the top. Alright. And then after that, we're going to take our French fried onions. I gotta open it. Hang on just a second. And I'm just going to sprinkle those all along the top. Now, of course, if you don't like these little French fried onions, you probably don't have to add this to the top. It's just gonna give you kind of that crunch factor. But I don't think you would have to have these if you don't like them. You can just add extra cheese on top and it'll just be cheesy. Alright, but that's all we're going to do. We're going to put this in our oven that is preheated to 350 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes uncovered. With this dish, I did notice that when we were serving it up, the middle of the dish, the biscuits were still pretty doughy. So my recommendations is to bake this for about 30 minutes, then add the French onions on top, bake for another 10 minutes, and then I think it would be perfect. And that is what we're having for dinner tonight, a French onion chicken bubble up bake. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me in the kitchen today. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye!